Hey, so welcome back to Kristen and Katie Read. I'm Kristen.
I'm Katie.
And we like to read. Today we're going to be discussing House of Sky and Breath.
Yep.
Crescent City 2, some would call it. Yes. So we actually consumed this book in about 2 days.
Yep. About 2 days, and it has taken us this long to process the book in its entire form.
Yeah. So I guess that was 3 weeks ago? I have basically done nothing but think about this book until Thursday when the Batman came out. And that's all you need to know about my life. This book consumed my thoughts.
Yes, and rightfully so. There's a lot to think about. So let's dive in. This is our spoiler-filled review of Crescent City 2, House of Sky and Breath.
Okay, so before we finished this book, we stopped at 100 pages and did a quick 100 pages in reaction and predictions for the book. So I'll link that if you want to check it out. Surprisingly, we actually called some pretty out there things that we did as like long shot predictions.
We did.
I'm very happy with us.
Yeah.
I'll say it.
Okay, and more so for you, you're being very polite and not calling out. Your biggest win was that you knew Cormac was good.
Okay,
and
but I also said, what did I say? I was like, I think we'll like him. I think I ultimately landed on him being bad, but I wanted him to be good, so I'm glad that he was.
Yeah, and like the dead in the eyes stuff, like he loved Sophie. It all makes a lot more sense. Like
the love of his life had died, so the light had gone out in his eyes. It all makes sense.
It all makes sense.
But some of our predictions were very wrong. So
true.
If you're looking for a laugh, they're there.
And really happily wrong.
Yes.
Like I said that someone was gonna die that I'm glad didn't. So
yeah, so true. So much happens in this book, so we don't want to give like a full synopsis. We really just want to kind of give like our immediate reactions and our takes, and then discuss like potential predictions for where our character stories are going, because I don't even want to just say the next Crescent City book, because it might not be in the next Crescent City book. What?
Okay.
What?
So let's start with like initial rating. What's your personal rating, Goodreads rating?
Yeah, absolutely. This is a 5 out of 5 for your girl. This lived up to my own hype, and trust me, I can hype something up in my mind.
She's a big hype girl.
Big hype girl, and I think it delivered. 5 out of 5, 10 out of 10. What about you?
I totally agree. I was so nervous for this book, not because of anything leading up to it. It's just like in the last couple months, we've had some things that we were excited about that just didn't land for us, and that's okay. But it does kind of make you wary when you're so excited for something.
Yeah.
This was a 10 out of 10, 5 out of 5, knocked it out of the park.
It's hard because
I was so excited.
Book 1, to me, like, even without knowing the conclusion of the entire story, like, I think book 1 is a perfect novel. Like, I love it. It makes me cry every time I read it. And I just, like, I had no idea where this one was going.
Yeah.
Like, obviously, you know, a little bit of the Assyrian stuff like that. So, let's, like, break down kind of, like, where, like, our main character storylines, what we liked, what we didn't like.
Okay.
Is that an easy way to go through it?
Yeah, I already have mine.
Okay, perfect. There's just so many. So, like, let's start with our main, right? Bryce and Hunt, guys. I think it's safe to say. Go ahead, tie a bow on it. They're in game.
They are in game. I'm really happy with this development. We both have talked extensively that we're way happier with how SJM did mates in this series.
Oh my gosh. It actually makes me like mates. Like, I love that, like, they chose each other. They could have not. And then I like that because they decide, okay, we're doing this, and like the merging of the sense. And I was just like, wow, this is so different than just like, I have no choice in the matter. I saw you, and it was whether I like you or not.
Yeah.
I just liked it so much.
It's different because they're not both high fae.
Right.
So they could
learn
get away from that.
Descendants of fae, that like the angels are the fae.
No, that the Asteri made them.
The Asteri made them, but they made them with
that they made them
fae. I don't know.
I don't know a lot about that. That
we're gonna have to talk about.
Shifters are fae.
Yes, the shifters are fae.
Yes, for sure. And that the Illyrians were prototypes before the angels.
Hold on. Before we get there, I want to keep talking about Bryce and Hunt, because that stuff makes my brain hurt. Bryce and Hunt are fantastic. This whole we're gonna wait until the winter solstice. Already I was like, is Feyre going to play a part in their banging? Because that's her birthday, folks.
Yeah.
It was confusing. And I felt like she was intentionally putting things in that are so tied to the court series.
Yes.
Day Bright.
Mm-hmm.
Agent Day Bright. All these things.
Agent Day and Agent Night.
All that to be said, there was no way these two were going to be making it to the winter solstice before they banged.
Oh no. And we did make that prediction and we were correct.
Yes, and all of the hookup scenes, 10 out of 10. She's outdone it. I don't know where she keeps coming up with ways to write these scenes, but I'm here for it.
Speaking of, are we ready to move on? Speaking
Yes.
of like pretty
Yes.
satisfying sex scenes to me.
Yes.
I love
Day Bright.
I love Day Bright. I love the like
And really
mind sex.
a wild time.
Wow. It was just, I just like that she's like, I have these characters, they're in this weird situation. One of them doesn't know who the other one is, but they're gonna do it anyway.
This was shocking because we for sure thought that Ruin and Hypaxia were going to get together, and then like you get halfway through the book and they like really haven't interacted. I was like, well, that's weird. I wonder if she made this decision after the first book. I feel like it's a change.
So I do think that they had such a great meet cute in the first book.
Mm-hmm.
It was really hard for me to let go of the idea that Ruin and Hypaxia were not going to be together.
Yeah. I love where they go.
I love it, but I really liked their initial meet and
Mm-hmm.
all their stuff in the first book. And honestly, their relationship reminds me much more of the relationships in a court series and the Throne of Glass series.
Yeah.
Where like characters have these like cute, nice things that happen and then it just kind of doesn't go anywhere.
Mm-hmm. That's so true.
So
for a second, I thought that maybe she was Agent Daybright.
yeah.
And then I thought that the new Archangel was Agent Daybright.
Mhm.
Before finally, spoiler alert, it's the Hind,
Wow.
Hypaxia's sister, which I love. Keeping it in the family.
I love that. I love it. I thought it was the Hind pretty much the whole time, and then I told you that I thought it was the Hind, and you were like, maybe, because you'd gotten to a part where you were like, for sure it wasn't, and I was like, oh man, then maybe it's Hypaxia, and then I went back and I was like, nope.
Yeah. It was just kind of confusing because I feel like there's just a lot of bluffing going on in this book. There's a lot of people pretending to be people that they aren't. My favorite thing about this book, I will say my favorite thing is like it was not black and white. There was about 5 sides to every element of this book. Everyone's reasoning, whether they're on the Asteri side or they're on the rebel side. Oh, are you a little rebel?
Mm-hmm.
I love that. I love that even like our good guys, there's like all these different sides. So there's no like 100% right, 100% wrong. It's like everybody's just trying to figure it out and do what they think is best.
Mm-hmm.
And like the Hind, it's like, yeah, she's on their side, but like, I don't know. She's still doing bad things.
Yeah, which, okay, and then
so is Pippa? Is that
Pippa?
Pippa? She's wild. Pippa,
She is.
a wild
And
character.
Pretty, I don't know, not nonchalant, but just like such a flippant name.
Yeah.
For such an intense, crazy person.
So where do we think Bryce and Hunt's story's going? Where do we think Ruin and the Hind story's going before we move on to other characters?
I think that Ruin and Hind are endgame.
I do too, but like your prediction about how she's going to have to torture them because of where it ends.
Oh, yeah. So I think that the Hind will have to torture them and like that she's going to that's literally her job. And I think that like, yeah, Hunt and Ruin are going to have to stay captive until she can orchestrate getting them out.
Yeah. Yeah,
and
it's gonna be wild.
And like keeping Pollux away from them and just like
Pollux. And he's a for sure bad guy, right? There's no redemption arc there.
yes. No,
What's
he's for sure
the
bad.
other guy, Danica's mate's name? Him. We know who we're talking about. It starts
The
with a
Hound.
B.
It's the Hound.
It starts with a B though.
Well, right.
Okay, here's a beef I have with it. Why does every character have a name and a nickname? It's too much.
Because all of the ones that start with H's were in Sandriel's service. So that's even where Hunt got his name. He was
so
the
dramatic.
hunter.
Yeah, the hunter, the hind, the hound.
It's crazy.
It's too much. Yeah, I wonder where he's going. I like that he's on our side now. Did not love the Ethan storyline, I'll say it.
That was maybe the biggest disappointment to me, was finding out that Ethan was like unrequitedly in love with Bryce.
Yeah.
I don't understand why we need to have everybody be so infatuated with her. We already love her.
Right.
We don't need every character to keep reminding us how great and cool Bryce is.
Right.
So it just kind of felt like
it was odd.
Unnecessary.
Like, we already bought why he was mad at Bryce in the last book and, like, why he
Right.
distanced himself. But I do like his potential storyline with the lost Fenrir wolf. I think that's going to be really exciting. I bet they're going to be together, would be my guess.
Definitely.
And then we think that Ethan will get Danica's sword because Bryce, we call it this wrong, Bryce is getting the sword. The sword is Bryce's.
Yes, and then she found...
But even though Ruin found it, or it came to Ruin, or do we think she's going to get something else and then give the sword back to Ruin? I really liked the idea that, like, this sword presented itself to Ruin. Like, he went on the quest and he got it.
Yeah.
So I'm a little confused by what we're going to do there.
Yeah.
But I love the twist. At what point, I would say about the time they were going to the Asteria, I was like, 100% we're getting a crossover. I, like, knew in my gut it was happening.
I mean, I think, you know, we've talked a lot about the fact that we have been preparing ourselves for the SJM universe.
Yes.
Crossover.
100%.
For books now.
And I feel like she's been preparing us for them this whole time. This is clearly something. Why in this Court of Silver Flames, why would she
specifically have
bring up all of the worlds so many times, all of these objects, if not to have them intertwined? It made no sense to me.
Yeah.
She loves it. She loves the multi-world thing.
And I still think that the horn is the fourth trove.
100%. We think, which is Bryce.
Which is Bryce now. And now Bryce is where?
In the court series. My God, incredible.
So let's go ahead and talk about that big twist.
Yeah.
So some of our friends haven't read the court series. And so the minute that they finished, they were like, what is happening?
It's amazing. And whereas, like, as soon as they were like, dusk, I was like, they're going to the court series. Also, like, the Autumn King, like, they're descendants of those courts.
Right.
It's just so obvious. And I was just, anybody who was not thinking that this is where she was going, I think when she was thinking about continuing the court series, there had to be a compelling reason and a big bad. And you kept bringing up, like, we defeat the big bad in A Court of Silver Flames.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Well, yeah, there's, like, still that sorcerer out there, but, like, that didn't really seem enough to, like, fuel this second leg of the court series.
And it just felt like there was she was giving us nothing as to what it could be about. If it was, like, Elaine's book, which, dear God, if it's Elaine's book, I will quit. I won't, obviously. That's an exaggeration. But, yeah, it just didn't make sense. And Crescent City 2, again, was very like, we weren't quite sure where it was going, except that, obviously, the stereo would be important.
True. So, yeah, so we are in this new territory that we've kind of talked about. Okay, so the next SJM book is a court book.
We think.
I mean, it has to be.
Right.
I mean, I think it's going to be the next court book, and
Bryce
is
has
just
to be
going to be there the whole time.
And I love that.
So that's going to be really interesting. Basically, this is going to be like what Heir of Fire was to Elaine, but in a separate series.
Yeah. I feel like Nesta and her will get along great.
Oh, yeah.
I love it. I love it so much. I could also see, like, somebody from one book, like, becoming mates or, like, with somebody else in a different universe, I think.
Yeah, the crossover potential there for, like, characters isn't really cool. Like, I mean, maybe Elaine isn't supposed to be with Azriel or Lucian. Like, maybe she's supposed to go away forever. Sorry, no. But
maybe she's gonna be a martyr. Oh. I just feel like Elaine is Beth in Little Women. She's like, everyone thinks she's too good for this world and, like, how lucky they are to have her and how she's this light. And I'm like, I just don't see it.
Yeah.
She's a waste of space. But that's
digress.
neither here.
Yeah. So one thing that we've also thought about is, like, will there be a time jump? How long will Bryce be gone?
This is a fear of mine. This is, like, an absolute, I don't even want to say a prediction, but something I fear. Kind of two possibilities. Bryce comes back and no time has passed at all for Hunt. They're, like, still fighting.
Right.
And,
like a blink.
And Bryce has been gone for years or something.
Yeah.
Another concern is she comes back and she lands and she's like, and she thinks she's going to be right back to where it was. And actually years have passed in her world, and like her parents have died of natural causes. Hunt has been tortured, and Ruin has been being tortured and locked up for years.
For like, I mean, Under the Mountain was 50 years.
Yeah.
So, I mean, we're not afraid of this like lengthy amount of time. I feel like
I'm
afraid,
but she's not afraid
SJM
to do it to
is
us.
not
Yeah.
afraid to, and there
Because
has to
all
be
of
like
our
more
characters have made the drop,
right,
except for parents,
except for her
obviously.
parents and their new son, Emil.
Oh yeah.
So I do think that will be interesting because we have to see like where's our next like heartstring being pulled.
Yeah. Do we think that the Thunderbirds will play a big part? Do we think like that
Absolutely.
Emil is actually a Thunderbird? I think he is.
I think he is.
Okay, let's wrap up some of the other characters. So I think Emil will be important. I just completely blanked on who I wanted to talk about. Oh, Therion and Jessica and Fury.
Yes.
Where do we see, like, clearly there's a lot to happen in the House of Shadow and Flint. What is it? Shadow and what?
So next is House of Many Waters.
Yeah, so Therion, who's now cut off his allegiance to that house.
Yeah, wild. I'm excited about that.
I don't really know where it's going. I'm interested.
I think,
like him. I just don't know where it's going.
yes, like we kind of predicted, he did have a much bigger role this book, and
Yeah.
I think that like next book he'll be even more important because something has to change in the river.
Mm-hmm.
Like the River Queen is obviously like doesn't have her subjects needs at heart, and
No.
so I feel like
The River Queen. The River Queen. Whatever her name is. So that'll be interesting.
of the Blue Court.
Fury and like Juniper are off, hopefully safe, and I want to know so much more about Fury. And then Jessica, I still don't know. And the Princes of Hell. Like, Hell is clearly important too. There's so many moving pieces.
Yeah, and like we said, I think that the fourth book is where we're really going to learn the most about Jessica and Fury.
Yeah.
Which, because that's their house.
Yeah.
We're assuming. I mean, I think Fury's in the House of Shadow and Flame.
But we don't know.
We don't know, but I'm pretty sure we'll learn the most about Jessica, Fury, and the Princes of Hell in the fourth book.
Yeah.
And that sucks because they're like super compelling.
Yeah. I really think like the princes just kept talking to us about like how powerful Bryce is supposed to be and where she's supposed to be going, and I loved all the like charge up of her power from Hunt, and like she did learn a lot in this book. And
then she's gonna learn so much more.
But exactly, she's off on this quest to like come into her powers and is going to be leveled up so much so that these battles and everything of where the book's going. I don't have a lot of predictions about where we're going except that to take down the Asteri, like overall team up with all of these people to eventually take down the Asteri. But then it's like, if you don't have the Asteri, they're gonna have to think about like the second light. There's a lot of things to think about, but that's my main prediction. It's just like Bryce is going to level up so much.
Yeah, and that I think that the next book really will be a court book, and
I do too.
Bryce will be a main character.
I hope. What else would be the point?
Yeah.
I'm very excited. And for all those Resand heads out there, wow.
Wow.
The fact, and it's interesting
And of
to
course
me
that
that it's
Azriel is the one that finds her.
Yes.
I was like, okay, maybe the next book won't be anyone. Like, it's not going to be a girl's book. It's going to be Azriel's book.
Yeah, honestly.
Yeah.
Maybe it's just going to like focus
Well, and
on...
like that like Ruin is a shadow singer.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it's not called that.
So,
it's crazy.
It's interesting. I'm really curious to know if you guys like saw the crossover coming. Like, are you guys excited? We're doing a reread of all of Sarah J Maas books just to prepare ourselves for anything. But a few of our friends have never read the other series, so like they don't know like any of this stuff. So I don't think they're mad because they like to read fantasy. But I'm curious to know if there's people who are like, oh, well, I don't want to now go invest in those books. I just think she played it safe by picking the court series because it's her more popular series.
I agree.
But I do think Aylin's world will be a part of it.
Oh, Aylin's coming.
Hot take. Write it
Aylin's
down.
coming. Aylin, Manon, and Aylin, they have to be in this world. Like, I'm sorry, I cannot stand for Manon not to be in it.
Maybe Manon and Azriel could be together. What?
Calm down. Dorian is there.
Oh my god, it's storming. Okay, so guys, until next time. I've been Kristen.
I've been Katie. Stay incest free.